deep in the heart of the capital city. Live from the Graham Tire Studios at 44th and O. We switch on the blinding neon glow that bears their name. Jack Mitchell and Dave Miller. It's KLIN's Jack and Dave in the morning.
8:35, Jack and Dave in the morning on Lincoln's News and Talk 1400 KLIN. Time to talk tech, gadgets, social media, and the like. Jason Peterson from Turbine Digital in the house with us, as he does a couple of times a month. Hello, Jason. How are you?
I'm great. How are you guys doing?
We're good. We're very good. We've got some beautiful weather coming our way.
Yes, we do.
We've got a lot of good topics here to get into, and so I want to jump right into it. I want to get into this list of apps with a couple of news items here first that I want to kind of throw out here to the table and discuss a little bit. During Sunday's speech about terrorism, one of the things that, Dave, I don't know that we got to this yet, but he called, it seemed like, on tech companies to help America fight the Islamic State.
Right.
And it was, quote, "I will urge high-tech and law enforcement leaders to make it harder for terrorists to use technology to escape from justice." Now, I don't know exactly what that means. Is that something about encryption, do you think? Or what can these tech companies do to be a part of this?
Not necessarily. If you watch what Trump and Hillary said yesterday, it's kind of scary because they said, well, we want to shut down parts of the internet and not make them accessible anymore. And you're going to hear arguments like, what about our First Amendment rights? And we don't need to worry about that when it comes to safety. Yes, we do need to worry about that. Just like you can't wholesale say we're going to hold Muslims from coming into this country, you can't wholesale say we're going to shut down the internet for some and not for others. We live in a different time. That is not acceptable.
No, that argument doesn't work. I agree with you. I mean, we went through this already, I think, with that legislation of keeping the internet open and some of the throttling of the bandwidth and all that stuff, and that didn't pass. So you're right. I mean, we have this challenge now where, I've always felt, and we've talked about this, where a lot of these wars that are going to be fought using technology and just the interwoven interconnectedness now that we have as a global community. So it's very, very complicated. So you have these tech companies now that, have a footprint, have data. In some cases, the data is just totally wide open. Like we were talking about with Facebook and these profiles and LinkedIn and Instagram. I mean, you can data mine a bunch of stuff on these guys without even doing any sort of security audit. But at the same time, I think I think they're trying to harken back to the 40s where the companies all got together and, they rallied the troops and all, Ford and all those guys manufactured tanks and stuff. Well, it isn't like that now. They also had
government. They had government contracts too. They were paying them to be on board.
Exactly. It isn't like that now.
I think the government's frustrated because it is easier than ever for two people on opposite sides of the earth to communicate and have it leave virtually no perceptible record of that conversation.
Well, there is and there isn't. It depends on how it's stored, where it's stored, and who has access to it, and whether or not it's legal.
But these things that aren't the WhatsApps of the world, even FaceTime. I mean,
and what they were using the PS4 system to communicate for the
There are
Paris
so
bombing.
many of those options out there right now. I think there's some frustration by people who used to track this stuff 10 years ago in the different ways that they've got to communicate now. It goes beyond text. It goes beyond emails. It goes beyond phone calls. There are much easier ways to communicate where it doesn't leave the same trail nearly like that. So I guess that's what I wondered if he was talking about, if he called for more options for those to be unencrypted so people could get a hold of it.
Well, maybe he's saying do the electronic version of see something, say something. If you see something on a Facebook page or a Twitter feed or something like that that seems dangerous, out of place, whatever, that you should report that as well.
Yeah. Well, interesting stuff there. I did want to get you guys' thoughts on that. Really shifting gears here for a second. Interesting piece of news that's just coming out over the last 12 hours or so. Amazon Prime we'll see what you guys think. They've taken another big step in getting people to cut the cord. They announced yesterday a new option called the Streaming Partners Program. So Prime members who pay the annual fee, they can expand their choices. They can watch streaming videos from Showtime, Starz, A&E, AMC, and other providers, but they've got to pay on top of what they're already paying to get those. You can get them basically a la carte. And I wondered when something like this was going to happen. You guys think this is you think this is a big gain for cord cutters, or does it just depend on the price point for this?
I think it's the price point. I mean, again, they already have a la carte options for just compared to like a Netflix where we rent a movie for $3.99 and $4.99 for the HD version. So I think it's really about that. Where if the price point is good, it's that a la carte versus a subscription fee. So it's the price for me is going to make the difference.
Yeah, it's also the choices too. I mean, an all-you-can-eat buffet, if you're allergic to avocados and it's all avocados, is not a good deal necessarily. So, I mean, these movie services are great, but when you get to news and sports channels, then you're really onto something.
You're right.
Then people are going to cut cords. But movie options, I've got movie options. I've got 4 different movie options right now. Bundling it on Amazon as opposed to Netflix doesn't make any difference if it's coming through a Roku, and you can get it anyway.
It's the same way. I mean, it's the same thing. HBO to go. I don't know how many people that made people cut the cord, but that's
people that
want
to jump on Game of Thrones or something like that.
But news and sports, when that's
going to be cataclysmic.
$9 a month if you want to add Showtime, basically, which gives you the live streaming channel, and then when shows are over, they're available to stream after the fact.
It might be worth it to get into Homeland.
Yeah, I was going to say Homeland is their biggest
and maybe
property,
catch up on
right?
that. Yeah, but other than that, I don't know that I would keep it for a long time.
Yeah, and
I always worry about these too when they have these movie channels that are available like HBO to go or Showtime. Are there parental permissions too? Because my kids are on Netflix all the time, and I don't want them just getting into HBO and some of the weird stuff that they have programming.
Right.
So
Well, for Netflix, they do if each family member in our family has an account, so that's
I
nice.
got that. But you do that through Amazon, let's say.
Yeah,
there's a lot of HBO stuff
Amazon Amazon doesn't have that, or at
Right.
least that I use it yet. But we'll see. Each channel is going to be offered a la carte. It's going to be, as I said, Showtime and Stars, AMC. And AMC, that's Fargo, right? Is Fargo
No,
AMC?
it's FX.
FX is Fargo. AMC was Breaking Bad.
Yes. And The Walking Dead.
And The Walking Dead, and yeah.
I mean, for some, it'll be a great deal. It depends on how you watch, I guess.
But each of those will be separately $9 a piece for Showtime and Stars. Acorn TV, what's Acorn TV? $5 a month. Lifetime Movie Club, $4 a month.
Well, there goes your $4.
Smithsonian,
Your wife's got to get that.
$4 a month. Oh, the Christmas movies are killing me right now.
My wife loves those.
You watch?
Oh, my gosh.
Too?
We've got like 20 DVR'd in our DVR queue.
Valerie
It's
Harper
hilarious.
is going to have a very special Christmas this year. That's what I understand.
Yeah, it's rough. But all right. Anyway, I thought this was interesting, guys. And I wanted to get your responses to this. Mashable put out a list, and I don't know if this was in honor of some kind of an anniversary or something, but they decided, with the iPhone having been unveiled in 2007, they put together a list of the top 100 iPhone apps of all time, and a lot of these cross over between iPhone and Android as well. And so I wanted to get your take on this. They said the number one all-time app on the iPhone, Dave's going to hate this, Instagram.
I don't hate it. I just think they're
Number
wrong.
one.
I understand it's very used right now, but I think groundbreaking-wise, I think Twitter is
Twitter was number 4 on the list.
yeah, I understand that.
Twitter was number 4.
Where did Facebook land?
Facebook was number 3.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's your universe right there.
Yeah.
And everybody's usage is going to determine who they think should be number one, don't you think, Jason?
I would agree. Yeah, it's whatever ecosystem you play in the most is going to be the
Yeah.
one you feel like is number one.
But I guess the argument essentially is that there's no app that's anywhere near as influential as Instagram. They said its dominance is closely linked to the iPhone's popularity because it was exclusively on iPhone for the start, and maybe Apple owes something to Instagram for its popularity. You remember the big deal? You couldn't get it on Android at
Yep,
first, and it was
I remember.
only an Apple thing.
That's true. I forgot about that.
A few years back. Number 2, by the way, Google Maps is number 2 overall.
And I get that.
You guys use the Apple or the Google mapping function when you do directions, or do you?
I don't know about you, Jason. I'm starting to use Google more and more. It seems to be more accurate.
Yeah, I've
than
been using the
Apple stuff.
Google, especially since it's gotten updated
Yeah,
significantly.
it looks a lot better, and it's a lot more user-friendly.
I don't know
Totally
I
agree.
haven't used enough of the two of them, but I get into the one. It depends whichever voice service I'm using, because normally I'm saying directions to, and I'm using voice services. And if I do it through Siri, it ends up with Apple. If I do it through the Google app, which, by the way, if you haven't tried it, is 100 times better than Siri in terms of.
It's really stepped up.
It's
that
awesome.
Google app for
I
voice.
love it. I use it all
Isn't
the
it?
time.
I mean, I'm not exaggerating.
No,
it's
it
100
is.
times
It is
better than Siri.
I literally, like, instead of going to a browser, I use the Google app.
And it's amazing. You ask it a question, and it'll answer it.
No,
and
it's
Siri.
the text-to-speech technology we've said always has
It's
been
shocking.
better. It's very, very good.
I think that's almost the most impressive thing of the last 2-ish years is the advancement in text-to-speech.
You know,
or speech-to-text.
This is so weird. I was talking to my dad about this not that long ago, and I said, "Do you remember when we used to go to Disney World in the late 70s, early 80s, and we would go through the Carousel of Progress, and we would go through Spaceship Earth, and they showed us what it was going to be like in the future?" Well, everything that they were doing then about what's going to be in the future is happening right now. They need to update those to be 30 years from now, because we're doing all that stuff. And my dad said, but what they never did and they never showed was text to whatever or speech to
voice dictation.
Yeah, opening apps, whatever. Because it's really amazing. He uses it all the time and he loves it.
What do you guys think I mean, I think I'm over 50% now that I use voice rather than typing on my phone. I bet I'm about 50-50.
I don't think I'm that high, but it depends. If I'm sitting down, that's fine. If I'm in a car, not so much. It's still hard to do. You almost have to pull over to do it.
I love it, though. I agree.
I do like it.
I use it a high amount, maybe not 50%, but definitely way up there.
You know, I don't know what Android has for this, but Apple has the function now. If you're plugged in, if the phone is plugged in, you can just say, "Hey Siri," and so you can completely compose a text without even changing where your eye level is.
Which I love.
Which I'll do for my wife. I'll say, "Hey, hey Siri, text my wife and tell her, hey, I'm outside of your office," or something like that, while I'm driving there. So that's nice all the time.
Which is great if it's plugged in.
Yeah, I think it's got to be plugged in.
The times that I always need that
happen.
stuff is when I'm not plugged in.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. By the way, if you're wondering, to complete the top 10, number 5, the first game makes the list with Angry Birds.
It was a great game. There's no question.
And now they're
Flappy Bird was good too.
They're coming out with a movie for it. What, 4 years too late?
Yeah,
I mean,
nobody's going to go to
way
this.
Way to not capitalize quickly on that. Find My iPhone
yes.
is 6.
Oh, boy, do I use that. I've lost, you guys know that, I've lost my stuff more times than I can count. It's ridiculous.
Number 7, and I've never used this. I'm not familiar with it. WeChat. Do you know anything about this?
No, I don't. I have to admit it.
I know about it, but I never use it.
No, I never did.
It's a messaging thing. I suppose it's probably like what's the other big one that people? Well, I'll probably get to it here. Number 8 was Vine. Number 9, YouTube. Number 10, Uber. If you're wondering, with the top 10, so, WhatsApp was the one that I was thinking
WhatsApp,
of. That's that. I think
you know, Uber and
similar to
WhatsApp
that.
are kind of the two apps that open up the idea of what our future is going to be. That there's going to be an app for everything, and your normal functions in your life, whether you're going to the laundromat or controlling the heat in your house, that there's going to be an app that controls things, and they really made that possible, which is great. So I think they should be high on the list. Should say, however, I've never used either one of them. And there were 2 apps that didn't even make the list out of all 100, and I went through all of them.
Did you?
Paper by 53 is a fantastic app, and I talk about it a lot, but I'm a graphics guy. Jason knows this.
Yep.
And,
oh, yeah. I'm right there with you.
But it is a fantastic app.
Well, that's the best drawing one, period.
Yeah, period. And the other one, oh, man, it just fell out of my head. I'll come up with it, but there was another one that didn't make the list. I'm like, why was that even not considered? That's weird.
Some of the other ones that I don't know if they had the regular Google. Did they have the regular Google app on here?
I don't know.
I still think that honestly right now is
the Google app now, but the Google app a year ago, not so much.
Right. No, just the straight Google one that you use predominantly for voice, I think is really one of the best, one of my most used ones at this point. So anyway, there's a whole lot of them. You can get it. You can get the thing on Mashable. They've got a lot more games actually in the top 20. I was surprised to see that. I don't know if I've ever Candy Crush, Cut the Rope, Words with Friends. I never got into Words with Friends.
My wife was doing that for a long time.
And then so there you go. Number 20, Tinder, which obviously all 3 of us are very familiar with.
Absolutely, I'm on it right now. Look at her.
Swipe left.
Yep.
All right, Jason. Hey, good stuff as always. We appreciate it. Let's we'll grab you here again in a couple weeks, perhaps. Let's see. It'll be 16, 20. No, we'll be off the air then. So we'll take a we'll take a little break here for a while. Have a great Christmas. If we don't see you before then,
sure.
We'll get back with you at the beginning of the year. Maybe do some tech predictions for 2016. As it were, and have a good time with this. Thanks so much for your time. We appreciate it, all right?
You betcha, guys. Thanks so much.
We'll be texting you.
Jason Peterson.
Sounds good.
Turbine Digital. 8:50, take a break. Jack and Dave in the morning. Lincoln's News and Talk, 1400 KLIN.